I am Chuck Steele. I do manage the Office of Student Life here. I am one of the advisors for Student Leadership Council. I've been at College of DuPage for 15 years, a little over 15 years. I actually started work here over in the Mackinac Arts Center while I was going to grad school. I've been in student life since '99, so the bulk of my time here has been within student life. I would say probably the best thing that's happened to me since I've been here is really getting involved in the leadership program. I've just had a, it's one of those things that was part of this job. Learning about leadership, I have a couple different certifications now on leadership, and it's one of those things that I love talking about. I love teaching it. I teach the Humanities 2210 class sometimes, but it's really just had an impact on me. Just on my, even outside of COD, on my life in general. So that's one of the reasons I love talking about it. We'll talk more about it in a minute. But this is Stephanie. You've already met her a little bit.
Sort of. I'm Stephanie Quirk. I'm coordinator of student life here at COD. I've been full-time here about 6 years, going on my 7th. I am a COD alum. I went to high school at Glenbard South High School, just down the road. And I came to COD. I did a year here because I also did classes while I was a high school student, taking evening classes. And so when I came to COD, I was really not as involved in high school. My time was limited there, really. And so when I came to COD, I got involved with an organization called Alter Ego Productions. And we're going to talk about that because it's now the organization that I'm fortunate enough to advise. So we book all of the entertainment on campus, anything and everything. So we'll show you a few pictures of that in a minute. But after COD, I transferred to the University of Durham in England. So I studied abroad for 2 years. I got my bachelor's degree in anthropology and sociology from Durham. When I finished there, I came back here to the Chicago area, and I did a master's degree in leadership studies. And part of my thesis for that was developing our leadership program here at COD. So North Central, which is where I did my master's degree, is a phenomenal college. So if you're thinking about going there, we do have Phi Theta Kappa, which offers a full ride scholarship to that university. So we're going to talk about PTK in a minute as well.
And I'm going to cross over, sorry about that.
So I'd like to hand it over to Abby and Alexis to give them a little bit of intros as well.
Okay, so I'm Abby. I'm your orientation leader. And actually, I came here from Morden High School. It's over in Berwyn. Came here. I did a lot better than I did in high school. So obviously, the past doesn't matter. If you weren't such a great student, you'll do great here. And I'm on the speech, forensics, and debate team. So I get to travel with my friends for fun, and I get to learn how to publicly speak with people. So I'll hand it over to Alexi.
Hi, my name's Alexis. I went to Lyons Township High School. I came to COD last year, so this is my 2nd year. I'm getting my associates here. I've played on the tennis team last year. We got to travel to nationals in Texas, which was really fun. I loved all my teammates, so definitely pick something and get involved because the community was really valuable to me. It definitely helps you enjoy your time here a lot more. I also participated in the Living Leadership Program and other clubs, so I definitely recommend getting involved.
With that, we're going to get started talking about student life. Everyone's mentioned a little bit about community already, and that is the main reason that the Office of Student Life exists at College of DuPage. The reason the college has an Office of Student Life is to explicitly help create community on campus. We do that a couple different ways. One of the ways is that we facilitate the clubs and organizations on campus. We have over 60 clubs and organizations. There is a difference. Clubs are self-funded. They're a little bit more fluid. We have the vast majority of what we have are clubs. There's probably, 60, 65 clubs. It's up to the students to create clubs. So we have some that are long-standing that have been around almost as long as COD, and then we have other ones that kind of come and go. As student interest, increases, that a club might form, and then as it wanes, it kind of goes away, and that's okay because there's other clubs to take its place. Student organizations, we only have 6 of those, and the difference is student organizations are funded through your tuition fees. So really, this is, I mentioned downstairs, taking advantage of the ups and extras that come with your the classroom experience. Organizations in student life is part of that. So it is, if you really want to get your money's worth, you'll look to get involved. And we're going to break these down and talk a little bit more about them a little bit later on. Leadership, I already told you how much I love the idea of leadership. It's still a fairly new field, to be honest with you. It doesn't have, there's no one crisp definition of leadership that everybody agrees on. So what we've done is we kind of came up with our own definition of leadership. And it was, you know, it was an evolution, but I'll tell you what, it really crystallized. Steph did a lot of work on it in her master's program, and I really love what we came up with. And I'll tell you what that definition is in a second. But I want to tell you one of the hurdles we face first with leadership. And that is, a lot of times when we talk about leadership, not just to students, but to people in general, they have a tendency to check out of the conversation. And it's because of that word leadership. A lot of people think, well, you know what, I'm not a boss at work. I'm not a, you know, an officer in a club. Nobody really listens to me. I don't, you know, I don't really impact other people. So they kind of check out, and they're like, well, when you stop talking about leadership, I'll start to participate again. Okay? And that's really a hurdle, and that's really a shame. So one of the things that we say about leadership is that anybody can do it. You practice leadership from where you are. We also really emphasize the idea that leadership is a skill. So like any other skill, people are born with different abilities, different levels of abilities. But like skills, it's something that you can learn about, you can practice it, and you can get better at it. That's unusual. That's also, that is also unusual. Okay, so our definition. Our definition is really, it comes down to 3 tenets of leadership. They are active participation, conscious decision-making, and appreciating multiple perspectives. And, you know, we have an entire class that kind of unpacks that, and we have an entire program. We spend a lot of time just talking about those 3 ideas. Active participation, conscious decision-making, and appreciating multiple perspectives. We say if you practice those 3 things with the intent of having a positive impact on your community, then you're practicing leadership.
I would venture to say that 2 of the tenets, just actively participating in orientation, coming to these sessions, being here, I mean, that's an important part. Making the conscious decision to actively participate, it's all part of what you may already be doing. So consider that as leadership. Well,
and it's not, you know, and it's one of those things too. If you do any one of those things, that doesn't mean that necessarily you're practicing leadership, but it can be if you're doing it with an intent. I mean, then that's where the intent piece comes into play, of having a positive impact. But it also shows how easy it is to practice leadership. There's many things that you're probably doing already that is a form of leadership. And if you were aware of it, and if you were really trying to get better at it, then that's practicing leadership. But so when you think about it, it should be clear that you can do those things from any position. You know, and when we talk about having a positive impact, we're talking about it could be at work, it could be in the classroom, it can be with your family, it can be with your friends. So when I say, you know, I've learned about leadership and it's the impact it's had on me, it's really true. It's pretty much infused in everything I do. At least that's my goal, whoever I'm dealing with. So we have a whole program dedicated to that. And the idea, why that's in our office, just to kind of bring it back to the idea of community, we want a good, strong community at College of DuPage. And if we're to help training leaders and we're getting students who are practicing leadership and really trying to have a positive impact on their community, which is us in this circumstance, what's better than that? So that's why it's housed in our office, and that's why, to be honest with you, it's one of the reasons I love working in our office. Okay, we'll tell you a little bit more about that program as we go. Before we get into the clubs and orgs, though, I want to mention one other thing that we do. I wouldn't say it's a primary thing we do, but it's important as well. We have a student lounge. You're going to find lounges all over the campus, but we have the primary student lounge right outside our office. We're on the first floor of the Student Services Center. And in that lounge, we have a performance space, we have pool tables, we have ping pong tables, we have a big screen TV, we have video game monitors, you know, flat screen TVs we have on the wall. You have to bring your own console, your own games, and you can play in there. But it's a great place to just spend time between classes. Okay, so once again, the idea of, you know, if you do want to connect, you have to be on campus to do it. So a lot of club activities take place in that space. So if you have time, you might want to check it out. The other thing we do is we also sell a lot of discount tickets. So we sell movie tickets, we sell Great America tickets, we sell PACE bus tickets, all available within our office. So those are just services that we provide.
And student IDs. So today at lunch you'll have the opportunity to get a student ID if you'd like to, but if the line's long or you can't stick around, that's okay, because in our office you can also get one. It's $5.
Okay, so
That being said,
let's talk about clubs.
let's introduce you to a few of the clubs. So this is kind of a grouping of all of our different clubs. We have anywhere between 60 and 75 clubs throughout the year. They are in flux. So as students are interested in different things, they form clubs. It's great. All you need are 3 students and a faculty member to sponsor your group. And then you can start having meetings, you can start fundraising, having events, going on field trips, all of that great stuff that clubs do. But these are some of the examples of the categories that we have. And these are only, I mean, very limited pictures. So, 3 of the maybe 15 academic pre-professionals that we have. But the event planners, Strategic Financial Society, our chemistry bonding club, they actually paired up with our culinary department this past year and came up with a periodic table of cupcakes.
You can't really tell from this picture, it's a
know,
little
right?
fuzzy, but every year they do a periodic table of cupcakes. And I got to tell you, I've never really cared for chemistry, but those cupcakes are delicious.
Another one I like to highlight under the academic pre-professional, we have a student chapter of the American Meteorological Society. They're our storm chasing club. So we have a great program on campus where you can go and storm chase with the armored vehicles, with the professors who are meteorologists. But there are a group of students that love it so intensely that they formed a club and they do it in their spare time. So it's a great opportunity to get out there and get in the field, at least in my opinion.
Can I just say, if you guys want to come in and sit against the back wall, that's fine. It's more comfortable that way than stand in a doorway. Let me say one other thing about this group of clubs. When I was talking about first-year experience in the first presentation, and there was a category of building your career, did that strike a chord with anybody? Is anybody here kind of, that's one of your main purpose in being at school is, you're thinking about what your career is going to be and creating a strong...
Resume.
Yeah. Raise up your hands, high so I can see them.
There.
Okay.
A fair
Okay.
amount.
Yeah. These are great clubs to connect with. When we advertise these clubs, that's the logo you'll see. And one of the great things about them is, as Steph said, you can join these national associations, you can attend conferences, and it's a good way to just kind of double check the career you think that you'd love to do. And I'll tell you another thing, when it comes to finding a job, and this, you're going to network in any, you join any club,
Yeah.
you're going to start forming a network. But when it comes to finding a job, and you're putting out resumes and you're filling out applications, most jobs come from personal recommendations, much more than just cold, resumes or applications. So building your network now is going to be really useful later.
Absolutely. Here's a couple of our cultural and ethnic clubs, Chinese student clubs, Casa de Amigos, which is our Spanish language club, and our Asia club. We also have a Latino Ethnic Awareness Association, which is for Latino culture, in addition to the language clubs. One of the things that we like to emphasize about our cultural and ethnic clubs is that they're open to everyone. So, of course, the Chinese Student Club has a lot of Chinese students in it. However, they want students who aren't Chinese to come be with them and learn about the culture and participate in their events. They throw a huge Chinese New Year celebration every year, and it's open for everyone to come and participate. And they like to share their culture in that way.
And I've heard that not complaint, but comment from all of our
these,
cultural and
yeah.
ethnic clubs. They all, part of it is celebrating a culture, celebrating and exploring, but they're open for anyone, and it's difficult for them to get people outside the culture and necessary ethnicity to come in. And so I'm just putting that out there if you have any sort of interest. And again, I go back to the first year experience model. One of them was exploring your world. Did that ring true with anybody? Exploring your world. Is anybody here interested in travel? Exploring
the field
other
studies,
cultures,
study
field
abroad.
studies?
Yeah.
Okay. We were talking before the session. I don't know if everybody heard it, but we love travel, and the idea of travel as education is just huge. but not everyone can afford it. And taking advantage of things like this is sort of a nice alternative to that.
Absolutely. And that ties into our faith-based clubs as well in terms of, reaching across. We have our Newman Association, which is our Catholic Student Association, Baha'i Student Club, our Muslim Student Association. Similar to the cultural ethnic clubs, these religious clubs are not only for students who practice those religions, but also for those interested in learning more about them. So they are open to everyone to come to different events, meetings, and things like that. So.
About 2 years ago, this is really interesting too. About 2 years ago, a lot of these faith-based clubs started collaborating and just having roundtable discussion events where they would just have, and if you're interested in religion or if you're interested in philosophy, they're really interesting discussions going on there. And it's something that they've said they're going to try to continue into this year. And you don't have to be a club member to attend. They're open to the public. But if you're interested in that kind of dialogue, it's something to look into.
Absolutely. Here are a few of our honors societies. We have Alpha Beta Gamma, which is our business honor society, Alpha Mu Gamma, foreign language honor society, Tau Upsilon Alpha, human services, and Phi Theta Kappa, which is our international honor society for 2-year colleges, which spans all of the disciplines. One of the things, Phi Theta Kappa is also an organization on our campus, which means it's funded by the college. But one of the great things about joining an honor society is the access to all of the scholarship money that they offer through the society. In particular, PTK gives away $3.5 million in scholarships to community college students, some of them full rides for COD students specifically. Like they do a full ride to North Central and they do a full ride to Elmhurst for Phi Theta Kappa students from COD. So it's definitely worth looking into getting involved, at least joining to have that on your transcript, because sometimes it's as easy as it just appears on your transcript. They're like, oh, you're coming here, you're in PTK, we'll give you $3 grand. We'll give you $5 grand just for having that on your transcript.
It's not even a separate application. It's just boom,
it's just part
they
of
send
it.
you a notice.
When they send you the offer and your financial information, it'll be on there marked as your PTK member.
And the other thing Steph mentioned, but I want to reiterate, anybody here interested in maybe going to North Central or Elmhurst College? Is it even on your list of possibilities? Those two schools, again, give out a full ride every year to one COD student. And I can tell you the last couple years, the characteristic that the people who got the scholarship have in common is, one, they were members of Phi Theta Kappa, and two, they had some leadership role on campus, whether it was a club, whether it was an organization.
Or they were in the program.
Pardon me?
Or they were in the program.
Or they're in the Living Leadership Program.
Right.
Those are the things that they're looking for to bring to their campus. So if you're interested in going for a free ride for your 3rd and 4th years, that's something to look into. And the other thing I want to throw out just about, when we talk about Phi Theta Kappa and even all these other honor societies, honors is something that kind of goes along the same lines as leadership. You tend to mention honors and some students go, well, that's not really me. I'm more of a C student, I'm more of a B student. And all I want to mention is something that was mentioned earlier as well, is whatever you were in high school doesn't really matter now. And you can talk to anybody who's worked here, anybody who's been here a while, and we all know plenty of students who just got through high school. They got their C's, they got their B's, whatever it was, they got their D's, but they got out. It doesn't matter. Those students do well here. I have one story of a guy who used to work in our office. He was a D student in high school. He was, and he said that D stood for delinquent. He got, when he left school, it was one of those congratulations, go. That was his deal. You know someone like that?
I think we all know someone
okay.
like that.
But anyways, he had some realization that, what, he was just kind of squandering his opportunities. So he kind of buckled down when he got here. He did well. He was able to join Phi Theta Kappa, and he got a substantial scholarship to University of Michigan. Not a full ride, but a substantial scholarship. And then he ended up staying at University of Michigan, and he got his law degree from there. And so this is a guy, again, D for delinquent, graduated. Kicked out of high school. It doesn't matter. And again, we have stories of that time and time again. So one of the things I would suggest to you is, taking advantage of this time, when you're starting new someplace, it's a moment of transition in your life. I'm going to bring it back to leadership and conscious decision making and say, it's a good time for reflection to think about what is it who's the person you want to be, what kind of student do you want to be, what goals do you have for yourself, and then what can you do to work to get there. And I'll tell you, whatever it is you decide, whatever direction you decide you're going to head in, we have a lot of people and offices and support and resources that are going to help you get there. But again, as I said on the main stage, you have to be the driver. You have to be the driver, but do not get hung up on whatever your high school history was. And I'll tell you, the other thing I want to tell you, and I'm always getting told to quit talking so much. But I want to tell you this. The same thing is true in the other direction. Just because you were an A student in high school is no guarantee of college success. You still have, if anything, things just get a little harder. So you still have to apply yourself. We don't want you coming in overconfident. It's a different environment. So
absolutely.
Okay.
All right. So we want to introduce you to the rest of our clubs, and then we're going to move on to our orgs. So here's Literary and Performing Arts. Page Turners is our book club. Prairie Light Review is a literary magazine. They're also an organization, so we're just going to talk about them a little bit later. Political advocacy clubs. Our Students for Animal Defense are very active on campus, as well as our Pride Alliance. And some social activities clubs. So we know that all of our clubs have a lot of fun on campus, but the social activities are dedicated to having fun here. It's purely recreational. Although we like to think that everything ties into something, right? So
yeah.
Leadership as well. But we have our Sci-Fi Fantasy Club and our Cosplay Club, which cos stands for costume, if you don't know. So if you see somebody dressed up like a fairy or somebody dressed up like a stormtrooper or in any crazy kind of costumes roaming around, chances are it's the Cosplay Club. They're very nice. So don't be alarmed.
In that situation, my money's on the stormtrooper.
Stormtrooper will win. Yeah, and then our Sci-Fi Club has they have a 3-day event called CodCon. So they have a convention on campus, which is just enormously successful.
They're in about their 17th year of doing CodCon, and they literally have people coming from all over the country to attend this 3-day event that they do.
Yeah,
they are a huge, very popular club on campus.
Mostly student run.
Yeah.
So it's a phenomenal thing. And then our service-oriented clubs. So these are the clubs who kind of dedicate themselves to service and volunteer initiatives in the community. So we have Rotaract, Endowment for Future Generations. And like we said, these are only just tiny examples of how we do have a number of different clubs under these categories. All right, so these are our 6 organizations on campus. These are funded by the college. They receive a budget from the college to do what they do. Alter Ego Productions is the organization that I advise. I have a co-advisor as well from the Art Center. And basically, we are the entertainment group on campus. So we do a little bit of everything and anything you could imagine. If you ever see Green Man running around on campus, there's an event that day, and you just follow Green Man to the event. Is anybody familiar with Green Man? Anybody? It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
There we go. We got a hand over here.
Okay, hand in the back. That show's really funny, but.
I also just want to say, if you ever see an alligator on campus, make sure you let the gorilla stingray guy know that, because he'd probably be interested. He won't take a picture. That's not enough, but yeah.
My goodness. So like
I'm going to be talking about that all day.
So we do a number of different events, like I said. Did anybody, let's see, the Chaparral Days cards, if you could pass those out for us. We have a welcome event that happens the first 2 weeks of classes. We call it Chaparral Days because our mascot is the chaparral. And it's basically to welcome all of you to campus for the first 2 weeks of the semester. And Alter Ego Productions plays a huge part in Chaparral Days because we book all of the entertainment. So we're going to have the inflatable games 2 days in a row, Tuesday and Wednesday, the first week of school. You can come and just play gladiator joust and bungee run. And
live band karaoke.
Yeah, bouncy boxing. Live band karaoke is going to be on campus the second week. The second Thursday of the semester, live band karaoke. They bring a full professional band. They will play any song. Literally, they know every song you could ever imagine. Yes, so many of that Freebird stuff, yeah.
Who said Freebird? You should be ashamed.
You should be ashamed. But it's really cool. It's all free. We give away tons of food, tons of giveaways. We're doing like hot dogs on the hill, which is a free lunch. We do cold turkey sandwiches on the first Wednesday. So it's going to be a lot of fun. Check the website. It has the most up-to-date calendar. But Alter Ego will be all over that.
And you know, one thing about Chaparral Days, it's a great opportunity to, a couple things about it. One, when you come to COD, especially the first couple weeks of school, say the first 2 or 3 weeks of school, parking is very, very difficult, okay? I'm giving you the heads up on that now. So get here early. But my advice to you, and this kind of plays into that, is I think it's a really good strategy during the first 2 weeks of school, during Chaparral Days, is to try to spend as much time on campus as you can. So if you have a 10 o'clock class, don't just get here at 9:45 and think you can just run to your classroom.
No, you won't find parking, first of all.
Well, yeah, that will not be enough time to find parking. I guarantee, no matter when you come here, we will always have parking for you. I can guarantee that. The downside is it won't always be where you want it. Okay,
very true.
but it's there. So if you want my general advice, south side of campus is easier to park than north side of campus. So again, let's not tell everybody, but that's just for,
between you and us.
Just for you guys here, for coming to our session. But try to spend as much time. If your classes are done at 11, don't just take off. There's a lot of things that are happening. And so it's not just clubs and organizations having events, but there's offices that are having open houses. A lot of things are going on. There's meet the faculty events. So take advantage of that. And if you have some time, at the start of the semester is a good time to spend it.
I do want to get through all the orgs because we want to talk about leadership, but one of the things about all of our organizations is that for the most part, the officer positions in the organizations are paid positions. So I have 5 officers who I work with in Alter Ego Productions. They each earn $1,000 a semester stipend for participating, for booking, for researching, for calling the agents, for marketing the events, for managing the budget, things like that. They have an office, a kitchen, and it's a great thing to put on your resume. So, you know, keep that in mind as you're looking at these organizations. Many of them have volunteer positions as well, so you can just join and be a part of it, but there is an opportunity to earn money if you become an officer.
And we'll mention as we go through each one.
Yep, so Alter Ego will give you $1,000 a semester. Student
Leadership Council is the organization that I co-advise. And that's like our student government on campus. We call ourselves the voice of the students. Their stipend for being an officer is the equivalent of 12 credit hours. So that's currently about $1,580 per semester. So if you're looking for a way, and this goes for all the organizations, but if you're looking for a way to get involved and enhance your resume, but also help pay your way through school, these organizations are a great way. You might be asking yourself, why the difference? And that is because each organization has different obligations. So clearly, the higher the obligation, the more the stipend is. Okay, and the lower the obligation, the lower the stipend is. I'm going to tell you two of the great things that Student Leadership Council does. They do a lot of great things, but 2 of the great things, they seat students on college committees, which is truly a great thing. This college is really run by committees, you know, like any big organizations, or I should say a lot of big organizations. The good news is that students sit on most of those committees, which means there's a student voice taking part in the discussions, whether it's about who should be our provider in the cafeteria, or what items should be on the bookstore contract, or even, you know, within the construction planning. We have students on those committees. Student Leadership Council is the one that makes those assignments. The other thing that Student Leadership Council does is about once a month they try to have a town hall meeting where they invite senior management, members of the administration, sometimes it's the college president, to come in and talk on a specific topic. And then they invite, and you know, any students are welcome to come, and those have been really successful, and both sides seem to really appreciate the opportunity to just have a conversation, because quite frankly, that conversation doesn't happen too often. You know, students interact mainly with staff and faculty members, as you know, you would expect. So it's sort of a unique thing, and everyone really seems to like it.
We did already mention Phi Theta Kappa a little bit with their $3.5 million in scholarships. This is an organization where the officers are not paid. However, they do travel quite a bit to regional conferences and to national conferences, and most of their travel is covered by the college. So you get that travel compensation piece in lieu of being a paid position. The Forensic Speech and Debate team, I'm going to hand that over to Abby, who's actually a member of the team.
Okay, so you guys all met Chris Miller. He's the other guy that was speaking with him. He's our director, and basically speech is split up into two sections, one artsy and one more like public speaking. So artsy is more like if you like poetry, if you like drama or dramatic interpretation, if you like prose or short stories, that's your area. If you're going into business, education, or pre-law or law in general, you definitely want to go into public speaking. It's great on your resume. Even anywhere you're going to go, speech is great to have. Speech communications is great to have on your resume. Basically, we get to travel, go to state, regionals, and nationals. We don't get paid. Unless you're like an officer or a helper of the director. But we do travel a lot, and we're all expense paid. But the way I got recruited was taking Speech 1100. So if you're interested, you take Speech 1100, see how you like it, test the waters, and then you can go from there. I basically got recruited. So see how you like it, but it's a big community. So you get to meet people that go to four-year universities, that go to Northern University, that go to Southern, that go to U of C or U of I, and you get to meet them and ask them, you know, how is it over there? And, you know, it's a very nice community in, you know, the speech forensics department. So you get to actually get firsthand knowledge, which you can't get in admissions or anywhere else unless you know people. So there's a lot of scholarships. It looks great on your resume. So it's definitely important to get involved in some sort of way.
Thank you. Anything to add? We can move on.
Yeah.
Our Prairie Light Review is the literary magazine. It publishes twice a year. If you are interested, any kind of artist is welcome to submit to the PLR. So whether you write poetry, you write short stories, fiction,
Photographer,
photographers,
sculptor, painter.
yes, mixed media arts, everything they include in the PLR.
There's student editors for this, and they do get paid. They get, their stipends are, if they're the editor-in-chief gets $350 a semester, and the other editors get $250. But they have a very strong community, and they publish twice a year, and they have a publication party, and they draw people from out in, out in the DeKalb way.
Anybody District 502 is welcome to submit, including students. Of course.
So I'm sure they're very familiar with the paper.
No, we
not
like
a problem.
questions. So that goes
Yeah.
for anything. If you have questions as we're going along, please feel free to raise your hand, and we'd be happy to answer them. Go ahead.
I'll tell you about the Courier newspaper. We have a real strong newspaper here. Most community colleges' papers only publish once a month. A couple of them publish every other week. We publish every week. And these actually, the editors for the student paper technically get paid the most. That, of course, is because they put in the most amount of time, to be honest with you. They get paid an hourly rate. The regular student worker rate, which is, I believe, $8.25, and they work up to 20 hours a week if they're an editor. And I know they're definitely looking for positions, because they typically have about 7, and I think they only have 2 or 3 filled right now. So if you're interested in not only journalism, but perhaps marketing, perhaps public relations, anything like that, this is a great opportunity. You will be writing a lot. They also use stringers, which means you don't have to take on the full commitment of being an editor, but if you're you want to write up a sports game or maybe do a movie review, if you do cartoons or take pictures, you can talk to them about becoming a stringer. And again, that's not a bad way to test the waters before if you want to make a full commitment into being an editor. And stringers do get paid as well. I'm not sure what the amount is, but it's just a per assignment basis.
Right. So switching gears a little bit, we talked about our clubs and organizations. The other thing we do is leadership. So we have a couple different opportunities for you to participate in leadership activities. First is the retreat, which is part of our Living Leadership program. We also have the student ambassadors who are out of our admissions office. Did anybody come on a high school visit or come on a campus visit day? To see a couple hands maybe. But it's a program that's run out of our admissions office that welcomes potential prospective students and their parents. And it's great. You get 2 free speech classes for being an ambassador. So again, another way for you to save some money, get those speech credits taken care of.
And Chris Miller is the teacher.
And Chris Miller teaches it, so you know it's intense, but really fun. He's really intense.
And he's got a ton of stories.
Yeah, just like the one. And then the last but not least, of course, new student orientation leaders who are helping today in their red shirts. They train all summer, so it's not a program that we do throughout the year, but it is something that's, you would all be eligible as returning students if you're coming back next year. After this year, you could all be orientation leaders and tell all about your experience at COD. So just give you a sneak peek at our leadership retreat we do every year. We're actually going next week, so the deadline is passed to submit for the retreat, but we do it every year, so you could go next year if you're interested in coming along with us. We go up to Lake Geneva for an overnight retreat. We talk about leadership, we have fun, we play in the lake. It's a lot of fun, some discussion, bonfires, all that fun stuff. And as I mentioned, it is part of our Living Leadership program. We went over the 3 tenets earlier. Our program is pretty flexible. Students can start at any time, and it's self-paced and self-directed. So if you're interested in learning more about it, you can go on our website, which is cod.edu/student_life. And we also have some handouts up here. I'll show you. This one is our leadership launch letter. And then we have this neon orange pink thing, which is our kind of information sheet, the short and sweet, on how to get involved in the leadership program. It is free, and you do earn a medallion that you can wear at commencement when you graduate with your regalia. And it does not show on your transcript, however. So it is a non-academic certificate, but it looks great on your resume. And I had a student who was a Living Leadership Program member earn that full ride to North Central last year. So people are looking for it on your resumes. And we're going to show you a few of our performance groups. We have a huge arts community on campus. Our art center is about to go under construction, but don't let that sway you because our groups are still active. So we have all kinds of orchestra, choirs, ensembles that are all open to students. You don't have to have any prior experience. You can get the training from our professors here at COD. And we do have a handout here. If anybody's interested in theater, they are doing theater auditions. It happens very quickly and early in the semester. So by the 3rd week, they're doing auditions for the year. So if you're interested, grab that and you can get a hold of our theater professor. Our women's and men's athletic teams. Any athletes thinking of maybe playing here? Maybe? Okay. We do have a handout here with all of the coaches' information. My recommendation would be to contact coach directly and find out what you need to know for your particular sport because they're all very specific. But you don't have to have any experience to play sports here. It's open to everyone. And there is open gym as well if you want to just come and play basketball and things too. So.
Not during construction.
Oh, not during construction. That's right. Our PE building is going under construction next year. You know that face, that beep and show. You can watch new episodes of highlights about student events on campus, hosted by our very own Chris Miller.